And joining me this morning from our Sydney studio, the Shadow Treasurer, Joe Hockey. Mr Hockey, thanks for your time. A lot to discuss on economic matters, but first of all on the asylum seeker issue. You've said the PNG deal doesn't work. You've heard what Jason Clare had to say there, that people smugglers are lying about it. That's why we've seen a surge like we did after the Tampa. What do you make of that argument?
Well, Kieran, this is more political inoculation from the Labor Party. They'll say these things. The fact is 3 boats arrived in just 2 hours yesterday, and the fact is that you need a holistic solution, and that's what Tony Abbott announced yesterday, where the military lead the solution, and they've done it before. They've been primary support providers in Indigenous intervention in Northern Territory. The government has used the military in significant natural disasters, so it's not uncommon. But now we've got to get our act right. That means the Australian government has to get it right, and the only solution is the coalition solution.
The Australia Defence Association says that the coalition's approach, well, it's got concerns about your approach, worried about the impact on the traditional chain of command, having a 3-star general reporting to the Immigration Minister.
Well, I'm surprised at those comments, but the fact is, as I said, the military has been used in numerous other circumstances, and the chain of command obviously goes to the Chief of Defence as a starting point, but it doesn't mean that they don't have a secondary role reporting to a minister for a particular proposal, be it a natural disaster or be it, in this case, border protection.
I want to turn to the economy now. The front page of the Financial Review, I know you've seen it, Labor reels from $20 billion budget hole. The government's Expenditure Review Committee meeting today to deal with this ahead of a major economic statement before the campaign starts, or just after the election campaign starts. Do you accept, when you look at those numbers, those reports today, Mr Hockey, that the economy, that the government has faced another hit to the terms of trade? We're getting less for what we sell overseas.
Look, this is just all spin from the government, Kieran. It's like Groundhog Day. They're always blaming someone else for getting the numbers wrong. Every single number Labor has published, be it in a budget or before an election, has been dead set wrong. And of course, Kevin Rudd wants to play down debt and deficit as an issue because he wants to go on a spending spree. He wants a blank cheque on Papua New Guinea. He wants a blank cheque on border protection more generally. He wants a blank cheque on Gonski. He's obviously going to go for the credit card on health and a range of other things. This is the way Kevin Rudd operates. He plays down the long-term costs associated with his reckless waste, and then he plays it down for political purposes. Now, what we do know is that the budget clearly is in crisis. Tony Abbott said it after the budget. This is a budget in crisis. We are right again. The government doesn't know how to control the budget. The cabinet is reportedly fighting with each other about how to deal with surplus. Chris Bowen refused to commit absolutely to a surplus in 2015 this morning. This is Labor writ large. They're in the business of debt and deficit, they're in the business of waste, and they don't know how to control the budget. I'll predict this,
responsible?
Kieran. I'll predict this. Yeah. I'll predict this. I predict that Labor will run away from an election this weekend because they've got a budget crisis on their hands, and PNG is unravelling. They'll run away from an election.
But you're saying Mr Bowen won't commit to a surplus this morning, but isn't it responsible for governments to revise targets if they're taking less revenue in? Isn't that just the way budgets work? Have we got beyond a sensible economic debate here?
Well, yes, Kieran, you're right. But it was the Labor Party that delivered a budget just a few weeks ago, and then Chris Bowen and Kevin Rudd were briefed on the state of the budget just a week ago or 2 weeks ago, and then they reaffirmed the commitment to a surplus in 2015 and 2016. And now there are reports that they're running away from a surplus, and they're fighting over whether to have a surplus or not. You see, this is the way they operate. They've been leaking for days all the things they're going to be doing and all the challenges they have, and then they have policy responses on the run. You know, the classic being the FPT decision, which is like a baseball bat to the back of the car industry, and Labor didn't even understand the numbers behind it. So we are going to get more policy on the run. We are going to get more knee-jerk reactions from the government. The only solution is to call an election and to have the truth come out, hopefully before the election, but I suspect only afterwards.
You could be the Treasurer in just a couple of months, more than likely. If you look at the polls, still the coalition remains the favourite. Will you commit to providing full costings once the pre-election fiscal outlook has been released by Treasury? Because you've said the Labor numbers are wrong, but this morning in the Financial Review it appears you also have real doubts about the pre-election fiscal outlook, the Treasury numbers too.
Well, clearly the government is trying to bully Treasury into a set of numbers. But as for our policies will be fully costed, and that will be released all before the election. We've always said that. So you will see individual policies and you will see how we're going to pay for them. But as for whether we can deliver a surplus before Labor, it all depends on the numbers that come out before the election from the pre-election fiscal outlook and from Labor. And what I'm saying is whatever's published before the election by the government can't be trusted as the benchmark for getting back to surplus.
With your numbers, will it be a day before, 2 days before? How long will we have to scrutinise the coalition's costings?
You'll have plenty of time, Kieran, and you'll see the most robust analysis process ever undertaken by any political party. And certainly, given that the government relies only on the public service for its numbers and doesn't have any second or third opinion going in, our numbers will be more robust than the government's.
Mr Hockey, thanks for your time.
Thanks very much, Kieran. Thank you.
Suzanne Lattimore, for the moment from Canberra, it's back to you in the Sky News Centre.